Hello everybody, my name is Jeffrey Wilson, also known as Jeff W2294, and today we are going to be reviewing the Nintendo 3DS. So strap in, hang on, and here we go. Before going any further, I should also note that this is actually one of the first versions of the Nintendo 3DS. This is not a newer one, so I wanted to provide a rather decent review before actually going on. So again, I apologize for any inconvenience. This is not a newer one. This is the first version of the Nintendo 3DS. As you guys can happen to see, I actually did not go for the regular Nintendo 3DS. I actually bought the XL, as you can see right here. The reason why I bought the XL is because I actually don't like looking at a screen so small. So I decided to buy the bigger one, since the screen is actually 90% larger, as you can see here. I actually like how much bigger the screen is because it doesn't quite put as much of a strain on my eyes as it would otherwise. I also happen to still have the manual right here. Manual, as you can see, just details everything about the Nintendo 3DS. How's that? Has everything, configuration. Pretty much Spanish at this point, however. Looking earlier, here's where basically it ends in English, and then basically from this point on it basically just goes in English, and it provides all the details on how to do everything. So for those of you who are curious about everything, it basically provides all the details in detail, which is actually rather nice. Provides all the warnings and everything else. So there's the Nintendo 3DS XL operations manual. Has French on page 84 and then Spanish on page 167. I can't read Spanish or French, so I usually stick to the English part. As you can see right there, there's the charging cord, which is actually rather nice. Prevents you from actually having to buy new batteries. For those of you that are curious, it's a two-prong. It's supposed to stick down like this. I don't have any room for one like that, so I usually just flip it up like this, which is rather nice because it doesn't actually have the wider prong on one of the sides. That's how long the cord actually is. Again, rather nice that I don't have to go and buy new batteries or whatever. Now, for those of you that are actually also curious, let's let the camera adjust for a moment. Right there, as you can see, that's the charging port. It's got trigger buttons on each side, necessary for 3D. I'll get to that in a moment. As you can see right in the middle right there, that's your slot. This is the slot for your games. So if you guys play games on here, which is usually what you do, it's where you put your games in at. It's got your IR port right there. If you wanna, which is what I assume linking up. Really don't link up with many people since I don't play too many games on this. Under here it has the Nintendo 3DS XL with all of your nice little legal jargon telling you basically to call a certain number, ratings for your charging port and everything else. All that nice little stuff right there. Has also the Nintendo logo on your side over here. It's basically got your volume right here. Basically nothing beyond that point. Something for a wrist strap right there. It's got your excuse me. It has your headphone spot right there, so if you just want to game in privacy, not want to hear anybody else or anything like that, that's what you'd usually, there's your port for that, so you can go ahead and game of privacy, or nobody else has to hear your game. There's your light telling you that your 3DS is on, and also it's got a light indicating that it's charging. As you can see, that light slowly pulses when the lid is shut. There's another spot for a wrist strap right there. As you can see right here, it's your Wi-Fi connectivity, your 3D slider, which I'll show you guys again in a moment, and also right here, as you can see, right there is your stylus. You can go ahead and slide that out. This is basically your stylus. Nice little nifty hole. When you're done using it, all you have to do is basically just slide it, put it back in like so, and you can shake it all you want. Basically at that point, it won't come out, which is rather nice if you encounter a bump or something like that. As you can see, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it just also shows wireless on the bottom. So for those that don't know what this slider actually is, or I shouldn't say slider, it's more of a switch, sorry. You can go ahead and look at that and then turn your Wi-Fi on or off. So without further ado, let's get to the good stuff and we'll open it up. Oh, sorry, before we open it up, I almost forgot to mention, these are your 3D cameras as well. So if you want to take pictures in 3D, or you want to go ahead and do any other stuff in 3D, you can do that. Rather nice. There's a couple of games that are built in, and I'm pretty sure a couple of games that you find that you can buy that you actually utilize those 3D cameras. There is another camera for your selfies or what have you on the inside, but we'll get to that when we open it up. So now, without further ado, we will now open it up. I have a couple of themes on here, but however, for the purpose of the review, I wanted to switch it back to the original. As you can see, they wanted to promote health, so the two footsteps right there, as you can see right here, that's a pedometer. Also shows your date, what day of the week it is, your time. I prefer to have it on a 24-hour basis. Has your battery right here, so you know how much of a charge you have. Has your ability for a 3D camera right here. You can take a picture with the inside camera by pressing and holding the Y button. And your camera is right in the middle right here. Let's see if I can actually... there we go. You can see, or maybe barely see, I'm not sure. Sorry. There's... right there's a camera. That is the inner camera for your selfies and such. I am more of an organizational person, so as you can see, I've actually made a whole bunch of these folders right here. So basically, with this one right here, this is primarily used for your gaming cartridge. If you have mini games, or you actually purchased games from Walmart or something like that, this is where your Nintendo DS or Nintendo 3DS games would be. As you may or may not know, the Nintendo 3DS is actually backwards compatible with the Nintendo DS. So if you have all those Nintendo DS games, you do not have to get rid of them. You could just go ahead and play them on there, which is actually rather nice. As you can see, this is the XL. The screens are much bigger than they would be on the Nintendo 3DS. Or, sorry, the Nintendo, yeah, the regular Nintendo 3DS. As you can also see right here, I have one folder for videos, one folder for the Me and Street Pass, another folder for utilities, and another folder for games. As you can see, I've gotten a couple of free games, and I've also gotten some downloaded games. Got your Animal Crossing, Space Raiders, Subwars, Download Play, the eShop, Augmented Reality Games, which is nice because if you have the card, you can actually control or view behavior based on the cards that you scan. It's included a couple, but I can't seem to find them as of now. It's got Stretchmo, and basically it's got one on the end that actually, that's the end of the line. So you can go ahead and go back, and it'll take you back to the regular one. As you can see, you can go up to, it's right here. This really does nothing. This is your home menu settings. This is notes for your games, so it supports those if you actually want to make notes about it. It's got your friend list, it's got your notifications, it's got a browser for your internet, so if you don't want to do it on your cell phone or your computer, you could just go ahead and do it right here. It's also got the Miiverse. And what it also has is this nice function as to where you can actually make your icons larger or smaller. So you can go ahead and, for example, just do that, and say that's too large and you don't want it to be that large. You can go ahead and click this icon right here, select this icon, press A, and it'll make them smaller, which is actually rather nice. It doesn't affect it up here, so it's got, of course, this right here indicates that you're connected to the internet. You'll already know about the pedometer, but it's also got these coins that you can use to buy stuff. I really haven't much of a need for that, so I hardly ever use them. I think I used them last time for some of the puzzle pieces, because over where I live you actually don't encounter many people, much less people with a Nintendo 3DS, so Street Pass is actually quite useless out here. But regardless, I still actually use this, or used this quite a bit. I really don't use them too much anymore, because I really, again, don't have much of a need for it. But anyway, it says that holding Y will cause that to pop up. That allows you to take a screenshot, and of course that details pressing up will do top screen, pressing down will do bottom screen, and pressing right will do both screens. Pressing left and right at the same time will actually trigger I believe it is either the 3D camera or the selfie camera. So, for example, if we just go ahead and press left and right at the same time, it will do that. And basically this thing doesn't necessarily operate on megabytes or gigabytes, but this instead actually operates on something called blocks. The source of memory for this is not internal memory, but rather an SD card. So I guess I've never actually swapped out the SD card, but I would assume that by theory, you put a larger SD card in there, you can have more blocks. As you can see, it has your SD function right here. It's got the number of pictures you can take right here. It tells you whether your 3D function is on or off. Right now mine is off. And right here it does the inner cam and outer cam. So I'm guessing that by pressing that button, merges two faces together, stand facing each other, and take a photo. So basically this merges two pictures or two faces together. So by this, you basically, for example, I would stand up, aim this toward me, the inner camera, and that, of course, you have your other person on the outside, and then you'd face them. Likely by pressing this, for example, this actually just swaps it back to the normal setting. Over here, left, right, and A is shoot. So A actually does the inside one, or maybe, I guess A does the outside one. That searches that searches for a QR code. So if you don't have something that does a QR code and you wanted something that does a QR code, this is very useful for that. Now you may be wondering what the 3D thing is and why it's so dim. Well, actually, if you go ahead and you, for example, just slide this up, as you can see, that thing is lit up and facing it just right. You guys won't be able to see this very well via the camera, but it actually looks more 3D right now. So that's basically does a 3D photo at that point. I'm going to go ahead and turn the 3D code or the 3D off because it basically gives me a headache. Hitting quit takes you back to the home menu. You have 3 buttons also down here. You have start, home, and select. So basically at this point you also have some things over here. Basically you've got a button that would operate a lot like a PlayStation analog stick, except you can't press down on it. It basically goes all sorts of directions, which is nice. I've also got something down here. That also allows you to move. Those will be used in different games or whatever. You've also got an X, Y, B, A over here. Those are, of course, used in games. And then down here, you've got power, which, as you'll see, you go ahead and press the power button. Or press and hold. In sleep mode. Basically, and then it gives you that message. In sleep mode, the system can count your steps and collect play coins, use Street Pass, or receive various contact via spot pads. Close the system to enter sleep mode from the home menu, and then basically you can press that middle button to return to home menu. Likewise, if you just go ahead and press that, as you can see, that goes off, no longer pulses, and the system doesn't notify you or anything like that. Now, if you go ahead and press the power button, or wait, hold on. Doesn't do an opening screen or whatever. System actually, you have to wait a little bit for the system to boot up so it can connect to the internet. But aside from that, basically home menu settings. And now the system's practically fired all the way back up. Now all you have to do is basically, if you don't want to mess with it anymore, but you still want to be able to access it quickly, just go ahead and close it like that. Of course, after that, the light begins to pulse. It has now entered sleep mode. So this is my conclusion on the review of the Nintendo 3DS. It's a truly marvelous thing. I personally, at this point, saw no need to upgrade, so I didn't. If you guys are interested in seeing more reviews, just let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Or rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me how I did, how I could improve this. Let me know. You guys are wonderful. All of you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Jeffrey out.